sometimes create problems so that we can give solutions. That is also a consultant. Remember, I was 23 and I got confirmed.
Okay.
Everyone in the operators, they came and told me, "Abhi to shaadi ka time aa gaya." I said, "Kyun?" He said, "Government mein naukri confirm ho gayi." So that is the mentality that people are, and that is, I would say, when it comes to say manufacturing, but even when it comes to services, if you're going and interacting with a person who's worked 10 years, ego आ जाता है यार मैंने 10 साल काम किया है और तू 2 साल का फ्रेशर ब्लेजर पहन के आता है, उन लोग शर्ट पैंट में बैठे थे प्लांट में, you'll go and ask them questions, they will not answer everything to you. So that is some issues at least that I have faced and my colleagues have also faced when we go for consulting, especially on the manufacturing side. But or everyone may not know, but this is hopefully people get to know as well. So many times you will go create issues, you will try to tailor bits that you win. So there's a lot of under the table work that also happens in consulting which is not spoken about, especially when you're working with the governments.
So, hello, sir. What we have known and we have understood about consulting is that consulting is about solving problems as well as at the same time creating value. And you have a lot of experience, and you are currently part of a consulting team. So I don't think I will do justice by explaining what exactly consultants do and what all is required. So I would like you to tell us more about consulting as a whole.
So one thing I'll add to your question, we also sometimes create problems so that we can give solutions. That is also what consultants do.
Yeah.
Right. So now coming back, the question was, what do consultants do? See, the way to look at it is, I would say there are two kinds of work a consultant, or two kinds of reasons why a consultant is hired. One is the company really wants somebody from outside to come and help you. And even consultants, you would look at ones, and there are various kinds of consulting. Now, consulting is this glamorous thing, you think of this that you'll be flying 4 times a week and you'll be going meeting with the top shots and giving presentations. Then that is what is shown in movies, that's what everyone sees. But the real hard work, especially at people who are starting off new, you'll be working on ground. Say in one of my first roles, I was actually counting how many bricks have been delivered on site, how many cement bags have been delivered on site. Then I was checking to check whether a truck has already come or not. I was verifying the number of the truck with the RTO database ki truck hai ki rickshaw hai. So that is also the kind of basic manual things you do in consulting. So it's a very glamorous profession, but that I would say is limited to a select few. Others, there's a lot of hard and grunt work they need to put in. And so again, there are different kinds of consulting. So one is there's a process consulting, there is an IT consulting, then there is what everyone talks about basically strat consulting or strategy consulting, which is what the MBBs do. Others, I would still say the big fours, they are not really into strat consulting. They are mainly into one of the kinds. They'll either help you set up your operational processes better, or they'll help you refine your IT processes. They'll help put cloud in place for you. So that is what. There are various different kinds of consulting. Or then what I was doing, that was basically, you could say, that is time and motion study consulting. Then there is manpower consulting, ABC consultants and the kind who look for, say there's a role of a CFO open, they will try and meet people and get you. Or even I think Michael Dell, some company that comes to NML, so that is what they do it. So those are the kind, that is manpower consulting. So the whole host of consulting. Strat consulting is what everyone wants to get into, but to be very frank, very few people get into that. And even there, it's not some great things that you do. It's it's made glamorized ki consulting karna. There's a lot of grunt work you do, a lot of paper pushing also you need to do over there, especially when you're working with the government. Now coming to so saying why people hire consultants, right? So there are two major reasons. One is you want an outsider view to what is happening, or you want somebody to actually come in and give you a view. Second one is you need to prove a point. So they've already decided, say for example, let's talk about the auto sector. Some companies already decided I want to enter into this market. They've given a presentation to the board, they made their point. The board says get somebody independent to come and speak about it. That is when they'll get in an independent consultant. So there are two major reasons why consultants are hired. One is to give you a fresh view, or second is to prove your point of view. The problem is when somebody is coming to prove your point, and again the issue with consulting is you don't go into the depth of a sector because you don't get so much time. Say one day you're working especially in strat consulting, or one day you're working on an auto project, next day you'll be working on a steel project. You possibly cannot know about both sectors in depth. and say for example you are going and talking, and how consulting a lot of it happens is at least the issues you'll go and talk to the guy. Say for example you do something in steel, you'll go and talk to the operator, what are the issue in the steel plant, if you want to reduce time. So he'll tell you the issue, and his thing will be, he will not tell you everything, simply because he's thinking that I am here from 40 years, you are a 20 year, you are just a graduate from college, what will you come and give me gyan?
Yeah.
So that is the issue, or that is the barrier you need to cover up also. That is a lot you will face. And that is, I would say, when it comes to say manufacturing, but when it comes to services, if you're going and interacting with a person who's worked 10 years, ego आ जाता है यार मैंने 10 साल काम किया है और तू 2 साल का फ्रेशर ब्लेजर पहन के आता है, उन लोग शर्ट पैंट में बैठे थे प्लांट में, you'll go and ask them questions, they will not answer everything to you. So that is some issues at least that I have faced, and a lot of my colleagues have also faced when we go for consulting, especially on the manufacturing side. But this is when you have to give in a, when you're gotten for, you could say, ops consulting, or given a secondary view, or given to prove your viewpoint. But when it comes to a business strategy, that does not really come into issue, because then you're actually just looking at business strategy, and you're trying to give in a strategy, and sometimes the simplest solutions work very well. See, I'll give you an example. I did not do this, a friend of mine did this, but they were hired by a gas company to say, ये जो घर पे गैस आता है ना, MGL जैसे बॉम्बे में, IGL in Delhi, they were hired by this company because they wanted to know कि what is my they were saying that I get 100 cubic meter of gas delivered, but only 96, so there's losses. How do you reduce the losses? Now the simple thing that people came up with great strategy. One simple strategy was the meter is only wrong. Many times they don't replace the meter. They have a set criteria, I will replace the meter after 10 years. So nobody is checking the accuracy of the meter. Now that is a very simple thing to do. So that's why consulting is a mix of simple and the complex. The simple is such thing, complex would be that they reduced time and leakages by ensuring that they get another manpower. When you see CNG filling stations, they got 2 people standing there to fill. So जब एक वाला उससे fill करा, the other person can get the other car ready. So that is a complex solution. By sitting, and how that was done was, he waited at about 120 filling stations, observing that for 2 hours every day. That's why it's a lot of grunt work involved. But that is at the junior level. The senior level, you'll not do that, because then you will deploy people on site to do that for you. Yeah, so I think that is a lot of travel. And then the third type of consulting I would say is government consulting. And now what happens there is that with the government, sometimes you need to be very politically correct, and you may give them a solution, but that may not come out in the public. Because what happens is, you prepare a detailed solution for them, they will act on it, but what comes out in the public is a very watered down version, because you can't say one arm of the government can't be seen criticizing the other arm, which is why that is also that you need to know how to play well over there. You need to know what are the issues, or what needs to be highlighted, what does not need to be highlighted, because a lot of it, if you're very candid and upfront and open, you will be in trouble over there. So that is again some nuance of working with the government, and a lot of it happening. Well, what is happening with the government, I could say, is that a lot of positions have not been filled in. So there's a lot of openings available. I mean, a lot of work coming in, I would say, not openings. So be it the central government, be it the state governments, they're employing a whole host of consultants, the big fours, companies like CRISIL, even the MBBs are working with them, basically to come up on strategy. It's mainly on strategy. That, say, for example, how do you improve India's exports? What are the steps you can do? How do you improve credit to MSMEs? How do you improve financial inclusion? So these are kinds of problem statements that consultants are working upon. Yeah, so I think that is it on consulting.
So, a lot, and each person, everybody has some career story, some origin story. Like how did they start? We also know that you pivoted quite a well
Yeah.
of times. So, what was your story? How did you start? How did you manage all of these things that keep coming your path?
To be very frank, I started off with chemical engineering but did not have good marks. I did not have good marks. In Sindhi Kota, I went into TSEC. They had 6 streams. I did not get into electronics. My marks were very poor. And by very poor, I got 96 out of 200. So that poor in CET. So then, and I didn't want to do IT. I was sure that I will never be able to fit into an IT industry kind of thing. So then I thought there was biotech, biomed, which again was not up my alley. So I thought chemical, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I think I enjoyed what I did over there. But I also realized that the kind of jobs that are there in India are more on the manufacturing side, not on the design side. And it's very rare that you get a design job. So I went and experienced a manufacturing job. I did 3 jobs in 3 years, which again is not a great thing to do, but I did 3 jobs in 3 years. But I got to know that working on ground, and there I was working with people who are elder to my father also, for example, and I was their boss. So getting them to do what, convincing them, it was more, I couldn't order them, I couldn't tell them that go do XYZ, they would never do it simply because the age barrier was too much.
Yeah.
So convincing them that, sometimes you have to convince them, sometimes you have to talk nicely to them, sometimes you also have to order them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the balance. And while working in production, I would say I realized that that is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I'd rather do something else, and this MBA always at the back of my mind. So that's when I thought that I'll give it a shot. So yeah, 3 years in chemical production, and that was a proper shift duty. Not many people do that, but I had 3 shifts: 6 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon, 2 in the afternoon to 10 in the night, and the killer shift was 10 in the night to 6 in the morning. So yeah, working in shifts really gives you a perspective. Because see, many times you don't think. Say for example, electricity. Now electricity is being generated. Somebody is sitting awake in the power plant to do that, 24/7 monitoring that. None of us even think about it. There are so many jobs that go on 24/7. Same thing, uh, say for example, internet. Now somebody is there at the control room checking all of that. Now those are the jobs that go on 24/7. Or many of the manufacturing jobs keep on going on 24/7. So those are, that is some, I would say, different experience I had working in those shifts, understanding what really happens, and then learning to sit awake the entire night, not sleeping is very difficult. But then you realize that human body can do that. It's possible. So yeah, that was an experience, but I realized I didn't want to do that. And plus, one of the students was in a government firm. So in the third job, I was there for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
And that's when I realized that if I continue in this job, I'll become a proper babu. And I had no interest in doing that. I could see everyone else, putting their feet up on the table, the proper trope that happens, not willing to try anything new, being very happy with what they are settled. I still remember I was 23 and I got confirmed.
Okay.
Everyone in the operators, they came and told me, "Abhi to shaadi ka time aa gaya." I said, "Kyun?" He said, "Government mein naukri confirm ho gayi." So that is the mentality that people are sitting there with. Ki 23 mein government job confirm ho gaya. And again, there were some people, you could say, I will not. Okay, is this a politically correct podcast? No, right? Okay, there are some people from the Bimaru states, I would say, they came and told me ki government job confirm ho gayi, they will get dowry anywhere from 50 lakhs to a crore because they got a government job confirmed.
Yeah.
So that is a lot of the, what do you say, a mentality that people come with there. I thought that if I go there, I mean, I was one of the first ones in my extended family. One is I'm a Sindhi. So not lot of many people do a job.
Yeah.
And then not a lot of many people do a government job. So among the very few people in the extended family who do a government job. So I was sure that if I stay here, I will go crazy. I cannot stay here. That is not the kind of person I am. So then I knew I had to start working on something else, and that was what I thought was an MBA. So then I was doing classes. So what I used to do is I would preferably take a night shift so that I could go for classes in the morning, and I would somehow check with my colleagues and get a night shift so that I could go class in the morning, study, and then do a night shift at work. And with that, I did not get very great marks in the CAT. So I thought, should I give it another chance for IIMs? Uh, but then again, as I said, I realized if I stay here for one more year, I will not be able to go to an MBA. I know that I'll become very lazy. So then I came to NM. At that point of time, I thought NM tier 1.5, not tier 1 college, but I would say tier 1.5 college, nothing great. But now, say 10 years down the line, I don't think that matters, to be very frank. Yeah, so then I got into NM, 2 years of great fun. Really enjoyed 2 years. And then got into, you can take company names, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then got into KPMG as a campus placement. Uh, that was again, I would say, a different experience because I was, when I was thinking 7 years back, consulting, I said earlier, was all glamorous. I thought I'll be flying here and there, talking with company CXOs, and I was flying, but I was flying to the most rural of locations, and there was no direct flight. So after the flight, I had to take a local transport or something.
Yeah.
So because this was more on infra consulting, and that too on ground ops. So there the problem was I was in rural West Bengal, and not even Calcutta, rural West Bengal. I was in rural Bihar, Aurangabad. So yeah, some really backward beyond places, not where many people go. But that again helped me, I would say, a very cliche term, but really helped build character because you get to see and interact with people. And even previous to my MBA, when I was working, I was not working in the city. My first job was in Panipat.
Awesome.
Second job was in this place called Roha, which is in about 50-60 odd kilometers south of Alibag. So I was really interacting with the local people. So that really helped you understand that all of us here, I would say, and those who listen to the podcast, or at least 80% of them would be come from a privileged background.
Yes.
So when you really interact with them, you understand the kind of difficulties they face, the issues that they go through, and as the fact that you're doing an MBA, etc., we are much better privileged than compared to them. So that really helped you get perspective right in the beginning. I would say the first job only helped me get perspective, and then doing the second, third one uh, added more. Similar was this case. Now, this case was when here again I was interacting. Since I was in rural areas, I was really interacting, and that is what helped me understand. So in NM, I had taken a subject on infra, and this was really sort of strengthening my core belief that infra is very important. And why is that? Because say for example, I was on a road project and 100-kilometer road project, it led to local employment for the 3 years that the road project or 5 years the road project was under construction, local employment of easily about 5,000 people.
Okay.
So just a 100-kilometer road project can lead to local employment of 5,000 jobs, and that is exactly what India as a country needs. We need more, and simple things when I have to speak to people there, they should tell me that I have to ask them what are the benefit of the road project, right? So they would say that for people, of course, this was the project from say Calcutta to Darjeeling, it would reduce the time. Second is it would help the army travel faster because the existing project, the transportation was becoming very slow. But for the local people, what helped, of course, got them a job. It got them to pick up skill. There was a guy at that point of time, he knew Excel better than me.
Okay.
And he was just a local Bengali who did not even study in English medium, but he picked up Excel by doing it. So it helps them learn skills, and now he's doing much better. He's got a job simply because he learned Excel. Another thing that struck over me for when I was talking to these guys, they used to say that because of this improved infra, their children can get better education. Because say that 100-kilometer road project, because of the earlier older condition of the highway, it would take 3 hours to traverse that distance. It reduced to about 45 minutes. So they would say because of that, I can afford to send my children to an English medium government school, and that is how the children will do better. So that is some benefit. I mean, that was again very eye-opening that not many of us get exposed to that, and that was a really eye-opening experience that this is what infra does for a local populace. Yeah, so I was there, but again, the thing is, I was not really enjoying. I mean, while these experiences were great, I was really back or beyond, and I didn't really enjoy the experience. So I was looking out, and that is when I realized that not realized I had a fair inkling for the aviation sector since the beginning. So I thought, let's give it a shot. So I tried interviewing, and then I managed to get in Kappa India. So I was there in KPMG for 18 months. So actually, KPMG had an aviation arm. I tried my best to get in there, but there were some internal rules on IGP, etc., which I could not clear, or there were some issues there. So, which is why I went into Kappa India, and that I would say again was a uh, great experience. So, my family was not okay with me moving again because that was in Delhi,
Okay.
and I had lived out for about 8-9 years, and just got back during KPMG. So they said they're not okay, but I was fine. I said I wanted to go experience aviation, and that was a crazy learning experience. I think again I was there only for 18 months, but excellent place to learn. I mean, I was exposed to a new sector. The fact is, I did some research on my own, but then interacting with people, there are people there who work for 20, 25 years. You really get to know, learn from them the nuances that you cannot learn online. Maybe now now I would say even now with AI, you would not learn those nuances. The nuances you get from people's experience or having worked on different kinds of projects. And there we worked on some crazy projects. We worked with, okay, those are confidential, but we worked with a big national carrier, not India, some other country's national carrier, that helped you understand. We are making presentations to the board. So you really got to understand how board is thinking, what is the board thinking about, what is happening, and that helped get international exposure that how are other countries working. So yeah, I was there for 18 months, great learning experience. But then again, uh, I mean, now I look back in hindsight, it was a perfect move. Then I thought, it's time to get back. There are some issues in the company, and I thought I want to, get back to Bombay. So I started applying. I got into CRISIL, and I've been in CRISIL for 5 years now, completing 5 years next month. So yeah, it's been a good experience. But again, as I was saying, hindsight, what happened is I moved in Jan of 2020, and that's when COVID struck. And my situation was that point of time we were not even cooking there. We were surviving by this. So if COVID had struck, we would have been in big issues. Yeah, I was surviving on the local dhabas, etc., and places I was staying.
Yeah.
So yeah, then came to CRISIL, and again, I would say is how careers link. I would say actually I'll go back earlier. I was working my first job. I was put on site in this plant called NFL, which is National Fertilizers Limited. I was put on the urea plant looking at the cooling towers there. My third job, the government job, was coincidentally I was put in the urea plant, working on a production in urea. So somehow I got some exposure beforehand. So it's sort of linked. Similarly, KPMG, I was doing construction. Then I was doing aviation in Kappa. In CRISIL, I joined looking at aviation, but then my boss told me that since you already have some constructions in CRISIL, we track various sectors. So she told me that since you're already track construction, why don't you look at it? So it just sort of linked. And then 2 years down the line, there was another role opening up. And again, as every guy does, I had a big interest in auto rides in the beginning. So that they told me, there's an auto role interested. Would you like to interview for it? Or not an interview, they just said that, we know you'll be able to manage it. So I got a shift into auto. So somehow I would say everything is just linked in my career right from the beginning till now. I used to look at construction till recently, but since roles and responsibilities grew, I now track the entire, I would say, transportation bit, which is aviation plus auto at CRISIL. And yeah, I said autos came by luck and you could say through hard work. And then after that, we started doing a lot of consulting work with the government. And again, that I would say opened up through serendipity, to be very frank. There was one engagement, we started working with them and they really liked our work. And that is when they started giving us a lot of other projects. And that was again on manufacturing, which I had some exposure to. So I would say the pivots have not really been very difficult. I would say uh, it sort of worked out, and which is why my advice would be to people is people have a very fixed career path in their mind. Even when I speak to people in CRISIL now, the guys who join in at a junior level, consultant, senior consultant, or RA, SRA as we call them, they always say that we have this fixed career path. I say never have that, because you don't, then you're sort of closing yourself to anything that might open up.
Yeah.
Say if I was not open, just my example, I wouldn't have gone from chemical engineering to MBA to construction to aviation to auto to manufacturing. It just sort of opened up simply because I was open for opportunities. I was open for exploring it. Now, for example, and the advice would also be, one is keep open. Second is know what you don't want to do. That is more important than knowing what you want to do. Because again, it keeps your field open. Say for example, again, I will not say what I don't want to do because some potential recruiter might be looking at this and I don't want to kill my chance there. But yeah, I know what I don't want to do going ahead.
Yeah.
So while that is out, everything else is open for me. So that keeps me open, knowing that some opportunity may come in, and that may just happen. You may meet somebody, at least at my level, you may meet somebody. That's how an opportunity comes in. That person may be impressed. You're working with another company on a project. Opportunities may come in there, or simply LinkedIn, or your name is well established in the industry, and you get a job there. So I would say that that is how the pivots have moved around for me.
So I would like to ask you about how your MBA life was. That too, you were in NMIMS and we are in NMIMS as well. So how was your life at that time?
So I would say NM was an excellent. I really enjoyed my time in NM.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. 2 years was a blur. As I was telling you guys earlier, I used to be be in college by 9 and not come home before 9. And while we don't have the perfect, campus life per se, wherein you're not staying there residentially, you're not staying over or sitting late to work, etc. But that can still be done. Say, for example, in my time, the library used to be open till 2 a.m.
Okay.
So you could
Now
sit
it's not the case.
now it's not, no, during exam time, it's not.
Exam
During
time.
exam
it is.
time,
Exam
it is
time.
24/7 kind of.
24/7, correct,
So till
correct.
5.
Exactly. So then you could sit late, you could exchange
Yeah.
notes, and then even we used to hang around in college, do things around. So yeah, I think NM really went by in a breeze because there's not a lot of time to do things because you're getting exposed to new subjects. Say people who come with a commerce background, they know some of these subjects. They would know accounting
Yeah.
beforehand, or many people come with a BBA background.
Yeah.
Now they would know some of these subjects. For me, at least, I came from an engineering background, so all these subjects are pretty new.
Yeah.
So getting used to those took some time. So yeah, I think that was there. Plus, there's a lot of other things that you do on the side, such as say what you guys are doing now. I was running a small business that point of time. But one thing I would say, and I'm sorry, don't kill me for it, but don't become a part of any clubs. It's not useful. It's not useful at all. Everyone says it adds to what's it called, CV pointer. It doesn't matter because I go for recruitment. I've been going for recruitment for 6 years now. I don't give a damn about that. I have never looked at it कि यार तू NJM में था, okay, not taking names, sorry, scratch that out. Or any of the clubs, I never look at it कि you did something over there. It doesn't matter to me. Holding a, what's it called, a POR, right? Position of responsibility.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any difference. They would say I mean, the selling point of the club, they would say, is that PR karoge to you learn how to manage people. Kuch nahi hota hai aise. It doesn't matter, to be very frank. So I would say that in fact, I was a member of club. I'll say very happily, I was the third. I don't remember the position exactly. I actually forgotten, but I was the third senior most guy in the team at that point of time. It doesn't matter. To be very frank, in fact, you're wasting time. Use that time to do something else, to do something you like to do. I don't know, read a couple of books, watch something, do something that interests you, or if you're new to Bombay, just go and explore.
Yeah.
But don't waste time. Seriously. I'm sorry, I know people might not like it, but I give that advice to when I go to interview people also. They ask me any advice. I said, you're in this PR. I did not even bother looking. And not me. I speak to other people. I used to go for recruitment or other KPMG also. And that was a coincidence. So I came to NM the next year. So basically, I graduated in 2017. I came in 2018 for recruitment. So I knew my
Acha.
juniors.
Yeah.
So there was a couple of, I had to move out a couple of interviews because I knew them. So that was that was the scenario. But even there, we never looked at it doesn't matter. I mean, some of it might give you decent exposure. That say you're trying to get sponsorship, etc. So if you're in a marketing role,
Yeah.
actually not marketing, if you're in a sales role, if you think sales is what you want to do, then get into it and try to get exposure to a role wherein you're calling up people trying to get sponsorship, because that is what is going to help you in your sales training.
Absolutely.
Rather, I would say on the side, see if you can do some internships. Or even if you don't do that, it's nothing. It's not going to impact too much. But don't waste time in clubs, definitely.
So, what does actually impact the CV or selection process, or what the recruiter is looking for?
See, I can again, a lot of it I say is luck. To be very frank, on the day of recruitment, because you don't know how you're shortlisting. Also, how there are CVs that are pushed by the placecom. You know it, I know it, I know everyone knows it, and it's not just in NM. It's in every college. It happens in the IIMs also. That the placecom pushes CVs of their friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, colleagues. So sab hota hi hai. So that happens. Uh, the second thing, what matters is, I would say, is you need to go well prepared for it. See, CV shortlisting is not in your hands.
Yeah.
You can put whatever, but say somebody comes and say, I know my exact example. I got a 98 percentile or something. My interview was amazing. The interviewer was very happy. But he told me on the face, he said your 10th and 12th your 12th marks and engineering marks are so low, you will not get selected.
Okay.
He said your interview is excellent, but you will not get selected. So if some company is coming with the, I remember at my time, at least, I don't, the first company that comes, and I will not take a name, the first company that comes came with a criteria triple 90.
Oh,
That
yeah.
if you have triple 90 in 10th, 12th, and your graduation, only then would they shortlist you. So shortlisting is not in your hands. You cannot change the past. What you can do is be so well prepared about your CV and something else that if a person is asking you something, you are able to answer to the best of your abilities and you're able to wow the person. Because that is what we look at. We don't look uh, and again, the idea is that we are not looking for somebody who's an expert, because you're just a management grad now. The idea is how you're thinking, and that is very important, because I think that, I don't know about you guys, which at least when I would say again, I'll be in trouble, but when you come from a SSC board as I came from, they don't teach you how to think. They teach you rote learning. कि ये 10 एग्जाम आने वाला है, वो गाइड ले लो, गाइड में ये सब क्वेश्चन है, बाय हार्ट करके जाओ, उधर वॉमिट कर लो, यू विल गेट थ्रू. That is not what matters. I think you guys are CBSE board. CBSE
Yeah.
mein they teach you somewhat to think. And that is what matters. When I'm sitting on that sort of interview, I don't want him to ask that, say, for example, tell me India का GDP लास्ट 10 साल में कितना ग्रो हुआ है. That is a data. And the thing is,
Yeah.
in your job, nobody is going to ask you for data, because data can be looked upon. What is the difference between you and a इंजीनियरिंग ग्रेड और रेगुलर 10th 12th का ग्रेड? उसको ही बोलूंगा तुम 10 साल का जीडीपी ढूंढ के दे, ओके, इट मे टेक हिम 2 minutes, विल टेक यू 1 minute. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is, are you able to analyze what I'm asking you to? Are you able to break down the problem? Are you able to provide some analysis? Are you able to think better? That is what matters on your CV. And say, for example, again, when it comes to your first year, when people come to interview for your internship,
Yeah.
now you are a fresher, right?
Yes.
So they cannot even ask you what you did at your job.
Yeah.
What your job? So क्या पूछेंगे उसको? बताओ interest क्या है? Or what are you interested in? Why finance? Why this? So again, I would say that is a very open-ended interview. So only thing is, you need to say, for example, you spoke about some extracurricular activities. As I interviewed some people, one person said, I love Formula 1. I said, अच्छा मेरे को बता Formula 1 में how is it so popular? He had no answer.
Okay.
So when you're talking about some things, make sure you know them decently.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't put on
True.
your CV. Otherwise, what
Yeah.
people do is वो NM का वो हमें को एक
Technical.
पेपर में बढ़ाना, एक लेंथ में भरना है ना, one full page has to be full.
Technicals.
हाँ,
Last में.
exactly. So they'll put इतना projects किया, ये subjects लिया है, put subjects that you know of. Say
Yeah.
you put strategic financial management, second year में आएगा. I ask you a question, not able to answer, gone. I have a negative one against. So basically in an interview, I
Yeah.
have a negative against you. But if you not put that over here and ask you something else, or if you don't know something, say you don't know. That is a very important thing in an interview. People try to fake. And trust me, a guy who's sitting next to you, who's worked for 10 years, who's worked for 5 years, he understands when you're faking. He can
True.
easily point it out.
Yeah. Correct.
So yeah, sorry, so see, in a first year in your internship, it doesn't really matter to a lot of things unless you worked. So again, you said you
have
worked somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So ensure what you're putting in. Again, don't put in some high fundu things that I made revenue of 20 crores, company को add कराया, I changed the look and feel of the product और उसके वजह से sales went up by 3x. डालो, but then have something to back it up. क्या क्या किया है?
Yeah.
Because when I as an interviewer, when I look at it, so okay, 20 crores बड़ा है ना, tell me what you did. And if you tell me something very basic, मुझे पता है he's faking. मतलब मैं मन में से सब बोल सकता हूँ कि that guy or that girl is bullshitting की इतने करने से 20 करोड़ नहीं होगा.
Yeah.
और अगर होगा तो आई एम सिटिंग इन द रॉन्ग जॉब, आई नीड टू गो टू दैट कंपनी की इतने सिंपल चीज से 20 करोड़
True.
एक्स्ट्रा मिल रहा है. सो व्हाट यू आर पुटिंग ऑन योर सीवी, पुट फ्लावरी लैंग्वेज, नो डाउट, बट हैव सम रियल बैकिंग टू बैक इट अप, और बी वेरी फ्रैंक कि व्हाट हैव यू डन. ऐसे मेनी पीपल राइट नाउ आई एम लुकिंग फॉर अ रोल इन माय ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, people put so many things, when I go and interview them कुछ भी नहीं किया, सिर्फ लिखने के लिए डाला है. So don't do that, it's not going to help.
Yeah.
So that is one thing on your first year. On a second year CV is whatever internship you've done, put actually what you've done.
Okay.
And bring out something good that you've done and be sure of what you've done. Let's say my internship was very simple. I used to cold call people and got a couple of sales. I put that over there. My internship was only about cold calling and I managed to get a 1 crore deal for the company. The company is very happy for it. That's it. I did not put hi-fi thing that, established network or something, what they put in LinkedIn. I put it very simply. So do that be very truthful about what is there and ensure that when somebody asks you, you're able to back it up about your internship. And otherwise, I mean, I did not do that, but read these books, wo hai na, M Consult and which that other one? During they say for know some guesstimates.
Yeah.
Because guesstimates is one way, at least prepare on guesstimates, because guesstimates is one way that you can, the other person can understand what a way of thought is.
Yeah.
Or even when they give you a question, say for example, I remember my interview excellent. That time I think there was some India, Pakistan, some issues going on.
Yeah.
My interviewer asked me, how will you make it into a 100 crore business? So I was not even prepared for that. I mean, that was not a question. I was studying up on infra. I studied up on roads, railways, ports, airports. सब पढ़ गया, ये question आया मेरे. So you don't know what the person is going to ask you.
True.
Yeah.
But this is a question which looks at your thought. How are you
Yeah.
able to think?
Yeah.
Same when we go also, I ask some interviews with, I ask some questions that are totally out of syllabus. The only thing is one to know how quickly a person can think on their feet, because that is important. Say you're sitting with the client, he throws a curveball at you, you can't tell him, "Arey, meko to nahi pata." You need to come up with some answer. So put what you actually know on your CV. Second is know how to think. That is very important. Or learn to ask the right questions. And I would say I made a mistake. Somebody asked me when I was looking for a job switch. He gave me an answer. He gave me a question. I did not ask the right question. He told me, you did not ask the right question, that's why I'm not considering your head. And that is important because he was not looking for an answer. He was looking for what are the kind of data I want to help get to that answer.
Okay.
So that is again a way of knowing how to think or learning how to think standing on your feet. So those are the three important things I would say that is needed to ace an interview.
So considering that we are in this phase, like we're looking for our work and eventually we'll be working post our MBA when it's done. I have two questions. So somebody who's just done his or her 12th, they're thinking of doing consulting. What should be kept in mind apart from the life that you spoke? And secondly, somebody who's done undergraduation right now. So is there a need for masters when you want to go into consulting, or can they start immediately after their undergrad? And how does the path look like for somebody who wants to go into consulting?
The first I would say that at 12th is too early to decide you want to go into
Yeah.
consulting. Don't even think about that. I mean, 12th में life में बहुत सारा चीज explore करने के लिए कि consulting में then see after 12th you're still deciding whether you want to get into engineering or medicine or commerce
Yeah.
etc. अगर वो time पे सोच ले consulting करना, I think that is not the child deciding, that is the parents deciding. To be very frank. So one is don't have that in your mind. Keep yourself open. But second is if you already decided, then I would say then you need to go through an see without an MBA also you'll get in, but not through an engineering. Or you'll get into an engineering if you're on the top, then you try to get into the IIM kind of category, the tier one colleges, because that is where a lot of consulting companies go for hiring.
Yeah.
So either you get into top tier colleges, or if you think that you're not that well enough, and it is very important. I mean, this is generic, not for the interview. You need to know about yourself. You need to know, be very truthful with yourself. I tell that to everyone, to my team, to my wife, to everyone, to my family. You need to know the reality about yourself. If you don't know the reality about yourself, you will never get ahead in life. Because if you know you're an average student in some subjects, but you're excellent in arts, or you're excellent in maybe speaking, develop that, develop it further. But पता है you're an average student, मतलब एवरेज स्टूडेंट ऐसे नहीं कि तुमने एफर्ट नहीं डाला इसलिए एवरेज हो, एफर्ट डाल दिया, सब ट्राई कर दिया, बट इट डजंट हेल्प ओनली. नॉट एवरीवन इज वायर्ड टू बी अ mathematician or a research guy.
Yeah.
There are so many excellent singers. Look at that guy Gokesh, he's an excellent chess
Yeah.
player. Yeah? So that is what he was wired for. Or there are some, who was that lady, Simone Biles, at 14 she became an Olympic gold medalist, I think,
Yeah.
or Olympic medalist for US. So if you know that is a specialty, be very truthful to yourself. So if you know that this is something which is not going to happen, then don't waste time and effort doing it, because you're wasting years then.
Yeah.
So sorry, that was generic. So coming back to this, so then you need to get in the top tier colleges for engineering to get in this, or you do commerce. You do not a generic BCom, you do something specific. Say you do a BBA, then BBA is much more helpful. But again, they be it from the top tier. And why I spoke about knowing yourself there is, if you know that you are not going to get into top tier colleges, you'll get into a middling college, then you're not getting into consulting. Then rather get into middling college, put in a hard effort, do an MBA, and then get in. Because nobody is going to come to a say Mumbai University का 50th college and say आजा consulting. I mean, बहुत वो luck के लिए होगा by chance, but that is the probability is very very less. So it doesn't make sense to think about that way. Rather than if you decide consulting करना है, and if you one thing is if you decide पहले ही करना है, then you need to put in an effort. And if you're putting in an effort, you will rise. That's not an issue. So then so 12 से डिसाइड कर लिया है तो BBA करो या इंजीनियरिंग करो, बट टॉप कॉलेजेस से करो, get into consulting, and then possibly go for a international MBA and get into the big three or something.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the career path, but most important is मत सोचो पहले से. अरे life, there are too many things to do and explore in life than being sure you want to do consulting.
Yeah.
And at 12th, I don't think anybody is decided. I mean, I don't know. Did you guys decide what you want to do at 12th?
Not even now.
Same. I'm not even now for me at 10 years. Don't worry about. I don't know what I want to do next. I mean, I know what I don't want to do, but I definitely don't know what I want to do next. I've kept it open. Something catches my fancy and interest, I'll do it. Just say when I was in construction, aviation caught my fancy. I want to do it. I got into it.
Yeah.
So don't decide at 12th. It's a very young age to decide.
I mean, I followed the similar thing. Like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So I just cancelled the options I don't want to do, and
Correct.
hence came out.
Then you'll have a lot of opportunity. Then you know, okay,
Yeah.
इसमें से कुछ भी मिल गया, you'll be decently well to do.
Yeah. So considering you said that you have to know yourself, that आप बने हो इसके लिए कि नहीं बने हो, you have to know yourself. पर इतना noise है ना external world में कि I am not able to judge. तो मैं कैसे जज करूँ कि मैं कंसल्टिंग के लिए बनी भी हूँ कि नहीं?
So know yourself, I was saying, not in the means of whether you're made for consulting or not, but know yourself in general. That what are you good at, what are you not good at. Say, for example, okay, specific to consult, what is consulting? Is basically listening to a problem, coming up with solutions. So generally, if you're not a problem-solving kind of guy, either you start to develop that, or see, some people are natural. You give them a problem, they'll come up with some solutions, they'll do something or the other. One is that. Second, if not, start preparing yourself for it. Learn guesstimates. Learn that M. Cheng, I think, was the name of the book. I'll just check. I have it written. There is M. Consult and there is Victor Cheng, I think, was the name of the author who has a book. It was very famous during my college days. Everyone used to talk about it. Then start reading consulting case. I don't know now, but during our time, the case studies were excellent that you used to get from HBS. Do you still get it?
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah, we do know.
Learn those case studies. See how the outcomes have come. Understand that. If that talks to you, then you know you're made for consulting. But if it doesn't, see, that's the thing. अगर मन बना लिया consulting करना है, but when you're reading it, you're not able to think of it in a different point of view. Or if you have some professor, he's giving that point of view, you're not able to think of it that way. Then it's a losing battle. Then you're just trying to do it because मैंने मन बना लिया कि वही glamour देखा consulting. Then don't do it. It's not worthwhile. Rather, if you're interested, if you know something else in MBA better, build your career around it. Because see, the idea always in your career would be that be good at something. So if you know that you're going to be a very middling guy in consulting, why bother going there? क्यों एक वो tick mark लग गया मैंने consulting कर दिया, उससे कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. You will be a very middling guy. You will not rise quickly. You will not be well known in the industry. But if you're say if you know ops very well,
Yeah.
but वो operations में वो करना नहीं है. It's not a very glamorous thing, but फिर भी you'll rise faster there.
Yeah.
So I think that is it. Any other questions?
I think this is enough for the day. I think.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for your time.
Perfect.
Thank you for everything that we spoke during this time. We're going to keep a lot of it with us, not just
Okay.
now, but throughout the journey, personally, professionally, both.
Great.
So, thank you.
Thanks for taking our time. Thank you.